Hi, welcome to this Corbettmaths video. In this video, we're going to look at the video solutions to the factorising quadratics in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c practice questions. If you need any extra help on factorising quadratics in that form, if you go to corbettmaths.com/contents and you scroll down to video number 118 and 120, there's video tutorials there for you. Alternatively, you could scan this QR code. But in this video, we're going to focus on the video solutions to the practice questions, so let's get started. So question number one. Question number one says factorise x squared plus x subtract 6. So as you can see, this is a quadratic and we've got our x squared term, our x term and our number. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our brackets down. So bracket, 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 bracket. And because it's x squared, we're going to put x's at the front of both brackets. Now to find the numbers that go inside the brackets here and here, we want to find two numbers that will multiply together to give us -6 and they will add together to give us the number in front of x here. Now this is plus x, which is the same as plus 1x. So we want to find two numbers that will times together to give us -6 and they will add together to give us 1. And because it was just plus x, that means plus 1x. So we want to find two numbers that times together to give us -6 and add together to give us 1. So let's write down some numbers that will multiply together to give us -6 and see if we can find which ones add together to give us 1. So -6 multiplied by 1, -6 times 1 is equal to -6. We could have -1 and 6, they times together to give us -6. We could have -3 and 2, those would times together to give us -6. We could even have -2 and 3, and they're all the ones that I can think of for now in terms of numbers that will times together to give us -6. And let's see if we can find the pair that will add together to give us 1. -6 plus 1 is -5, so it's not that option. -1 plus 6 is 5, so it's not that option. -3 plus 2, well, going up 2 would bring us to -1, so that's not the right option either. And -2 plus 3, well, -2 plus 3 is 1. So these two numbers, -2 and 3, they will times together to give us -6, and they will add together to give us 1. So inside of our brackets, we could have x minus 2 and x plus 3. And if you expanded those brackets, you would get x squared plus 1x, or plus x, subtract 6. So we have factorised that quadratic. So let's put our answer down. X minus 2, brackets, x plus 3. And it would be fine if you wrote it the other way around, x plus 3 and x minus 2, but I've just written it down this way. Okay, let's have a look at question number 2. So question number 2, we've been asked to factorise x squared plus 5x plus 6. So because it's a quadratic in the form of x squared plus bx plus c, let's put our brackets down, bracket, 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 and we'll put x at the front of both brackets because we've got our x squared. So if we have x times x, that's x squared. Now we want to find two numbers that will multiply together to give us 6, and they will add together to give us 5. So let's write down some numbers that will times together to give us 6 and add together to give us 5. Now because they're adding together to give us 5, we can ignore any options that will be two negatives, because obviously we could think of negative numbers that will times together to give us 6. It could be like, -6 times -1, but because they add together to be 5, we're just going to focus on positive numbers here. So 6 and 1, we could have 2 and 3, and they're the options that I can think of. So let's see, 6 times 1 is 6, fantastic. Now 6 plus 1 is 7, so that's not the correct option. Our next pair, 2 times 3 is equal to 6, fantastic, and 2 plus 3 is equal to 5. So that means that that is our correct option. So that means we would have x plus 2 and x plus 3. And again, if we expanded our brackets, if you expanded these out, you would get x squared plus 5x plus 6. So if we were asked to factorise x squared plus 5x plus 6, the answer would be x plus 2, brackets, x plus 3. And again, you could have it the other way around where you'd write x plus 3 and x plus 2, but that it doesn't really matter which way you write them. So that's our answer. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 3. Okay, let's have a look at question number 3. So question number 3, we've been asked to factorise x squared plus 9x plus 20. So again, it's a quadratic, so let's put our brackets down, and let's put our x's at the front of both brackets, so x and x times x is x squared. Now we want to find two numbers that will times together to give us 20 and add together to give us 9. So let's think of positive numbers that will times together to give us 20 and see which ones will add together to be 9. So we could have 1 and 20, we could have 2 and 10, we could have 4 and 5, and they're the options I can think of. 1 times 20 is 20, 1 plus 20 is 21, so it's not that pair. Next, we've got 2 and 10. 2 times 10 is 20, fantastic, but 2 plus 10 is equal to 12, so it's not that pair. And then our last option, 4 times 5 is 20, and 4 plus 5 is equal to 9. So that's the pair that we want. We're going to have x plus 4 and x plus 5. And if we expand our brackets, we would get x squared plus 9x plus 20. So if we were asked to factorise x squared plus 9x plus 20, our answer would be x plus 4, bracket, x plus 5. And that's it. Okay, let's have a look at question number 4. So question number 4, we've been asked to factorise x squared plus 10x plus 9. So again, it's a quadratic in the form of x squared plus bx plus c. So let's put our brackets down and let's put x's at the front of both brackets because x times x is x squared. Now we want two numbers that will times together to be 9 and add together to be 10. So we can have 9 and 1 or 3 and 3. 9 times 1 is 9, fantastic, and 9 plus 1 is equal to 10, fantastic. So that's the option that we want. We're going to have x plus 9 and x plus 1, and that will be our answer. And let's just check if it was 3 and 3. 3 times 3 is equal to 9, but 3 plus 3 is equal to 6, so that wouldn't be the one that we wanted. So our answer would be x plus 9 brackets x plus 1. So if we were asked to factorize x squared plus 10x plus 9, the answer would be x plus 9, x plus 1. And if we expanded our brackets here, we would get x squared plus 10x plus 9. Okay, let's have a look at our next question. Question number 5. So question number 5 says factorize x squared, subtract 7x plus 12. So again, we've got a quadratic in the form of x squared plus bx plus c. So let's put our brackets down. And because it's x squared, let's put x's at the front of both brackets, and x times x is x squared. Fantastic. Now we want two numbers that will times together to be 12, but this time they're going to add together to be negative 7. Now if two numbers times together to be 12 and they add together to be negative 7, they're going to have to be two negatives because a negative times a negative is a positive, and whenever we add them we'll get a negative answer. It couldn't be two positives because when we add them we couldn't get negative 7. So we want two negative numbers that will times together to be 12. So let's think of negative 1 and negative 12. We could have negative 2 and negative 6. We could have negative 3 and negative 4. And then any of the other options would be the same, but just the other way around. So there are the options we could have. So let's check and see which one would give us negative 7 whenever we add them together. Negative 1 times negative 12 is 12, fantastic. But negative 1 plus negative 12 would be negative 13, so it's not that option. Next, negative 2 times negative 6 would be 12 as well. But negative 2 plus negative 6, well, that would be negative 8, so it's not negative 7. And finally, hopefully this will be our correct option. Negative 3 times negative 4, well, that would be 12. And negative 3 plus negative 4, well, when you add a negative, you go down. Negative 3 take away 4 would be negative 7, so that's the option we want. So it would be x minus 3, x minus 4. And that's our answer, x minus 3, x minus 4. And that's it. Okay, let's have a look at question number 6. Okay, let's have a look at our next question, question number 6. So question number 6, we've been asked to factorize x squared, subtract 2x, subtract 24. So again, it's a quadratic in the form of x squared plus bx plus c. So let's put our brackets down. And because it's x squared, let's put x's at the front of both brackets. And we want two numbers that will times together to be negative 24 and add together to be negative 2. Now, because the two numbers times together to be a negative, that means that one will have to be positive and one will have to be negative. Because if they were both the same, like two positives or two negatives, you get a positive answer. So let's think of numbers that will times together to give us negative 24. So we could have negative 24 and 1. We could have negative 1 and 24. We could have negative 2 and 12. We could have negative 12 and 2. We could have negative 3 and 8. We could have negative 8 and 3. We could have negative 4 and 6. We could even have the negative 6 and 4. So these are our options. These are the numbers that will times together to give us negative 24. And we want to find which pair will add together to be negative 2. So negative 24 plus 1 is negative 23. So that's not negative 2. Our next one, negative 1 plus 24 is 23. So that's not our option. Our next one, negative 2 plus 12 is equal to 10, so that's not our option. We want it to be negative 2. Negative 12 plus 2 would be negative 10, that's not negative 2. Negative 3 plus 8 would be 5, so no. Negative 8 plus 3 would be negative 5. Negative 4 plus 6 is equal to 2. We want negative 2, so no. And finally, negative 6 plus 4. Well, negative 6 plus 4 would be negative 2, and we want negative 2. So that means instead of our brackets, we'd have x minus 6 and x plus 4. And that's it. And that's it. So our answer would be x minus 6, x plus 4. Now, in terms of our options here, I actually did choose them in this order on purpose so that our answer would be the last one. It's not always the last one. I was just done that on purpose. Okay, let's have a look at our next question, question number 7. So here we've got another quadratic, and we've been asked to factorize x squared minus 6x minus 27. So again, it's in the form of x squared plus bx plus c. So let's put our brackets down, bracket, 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 bracket. And because it's x squared, we're going to put x's at the front of both brackets. Now, we want two numbers that will multiply together to be negative 27, and they will add together to be minus 6. Now, in terms of two numbers that will times together to be negative 27, well, one's going to have to be positive, one's going to have to be negative because they're timesing together to give us a negative. So let's try minus 3 and 9. Well, minus 3 times 9 is minus 27, fantastic. but minus 3 plus 9 is 6. Well, actually, let's change those around. Let's try minus 9 and 3. Minus 9 times 3 would be minus 27. Fantastic. And minus 9 plus 3 would be minus 6. So that means our brackets would be x minus 9 and x plus 3. And that's it. So if we were asked to factorize x squared minus 6x minus 27, the answer would be x minus 9, x plus 3. And that's it. Okay, let's have a look at our next question, question number 8. So question number 8 says factorize x squared subtract 36. So this time, this question is a bit different than the ones we've looked at so far because we've been asked to factorize x squared subtract 36. So this is a difference between two squareds question. It's not in the form of x squared plus bx plus c like the others we've looked at so far. So whenever you're factorizing something like this, which is difference between two squareds, and watch video 120 in Corbettmaths, which is the video on difference between two squareds. Whenever you're factorizing something like this, where you've got something in the form of something squared subtract something squared, so here you've got x squared, well, that's obviously x squared, so that's something squared, subtract, and then you've got 36, which is 6 squared, so it's the difference between two squareds. So if you want to factorize something that's the difference between two squareds, you put your brackets down, so bracket, 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 and then you're going to write, because we've got x squared, we're going to write x and x. And then the square root of 36 is 6, so we put 6 and 6, and then we put one with a plus sign and one with a minus sign. And the reason is, if you were to expand these brackets, you would get x squared minus 6x plus 6x minus 36. And the minus 6x and the plus 6x will add together to give you 0, and that's why there's no term with x's in the middle here, and we're just left with x squared minus 36. But if you want more of a recap on that, go to corbettmaths.com and scroll down to video 120, and that's the video tutorial there on finding the difference between two squareds. Now in this video, I'm going to assume that you've watched that, so let's carry on. So if I wanted to factorize something in the form of x squared minus 36, I would just put the x and the x, and then I would square root the 36 and get 6 and 6, and then just write one with a plus sign and one with a minus sign. And that's our answer. So our answer is x plus 6 bracket x minus 6. And again, you can have those brackets the other way around, where we would have x minus 6 and x plus 6, and that's fine also. So just to give you another example, if you had something in the form of x squared subtract 49 and you're asked to factorize this, you just put your brackets down, so bracket, 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 bracket. You've got the difference between two squareds, and you just put x and x. The square root of 49 is 7, so you'd have 7 and 7, and you put one with a plus sign and one with a minus sign, and that would be that factorized. And again, you could expand your brackets and see that's the case. Okay, let's have a look at our next question, question number 9. So question number 9, we've been asked to factorize x squared plus 5x subtract 24. So here again, we've got it in the form of x squared plus bx plus c. So let's put our brackets down, bracket, 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 bracket. And because it's x squared, let's put x's at the front of both brackets. And then you want to find two numbers that times together to give us negative 24 and add together to be 5. So let's think of things that will times together to be minus 24. Now one's going to have to be positive and one's going to have to be negative, and we want them to add together to be 5. So I'm going to try to begin with, I'm going to try minus 8 and 3. Because minus 8 times 3 would be minus 24, fantastic. But minus 8 plus 3 is equal to minus 5. But we want it to be 5, so let's try minus 3 and 8. Minus 3 times 8 is equal to minus 24, and minus 3 plus 8 is equal to 5. So that's our option. So it's going to be x minus 3 and x plus 8, and that's it. So if we were asked to factorize x squared plus 5x minus 24, our answer would be x minus 3, close brackets, x plus 8, close brackets. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 10. So question number 10, we've been asked to factorize x squared plus 8x plus 16. So again, let's put our brackets down, bracket, 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 bracket. It's x squared, so x, and we want to find two numbers that times together to be 16 and add together to be 8. So because they're timesing together to be a positive number and they're adding together to be a positive number, they're both going to be positives. So let's try 16 and 1. They would times together to be 16, but they add together to be 17, so that's not 8. Let's try 2 and 8. They times together to be 16, but they add together to be 10. Okay, let's try 4 and 4. 4 times 4 is 16, and they add together to be 8. Fantastic. So it's going to be x plus 4 and x plus 4. So the answer is x plus 4 bracket x plus 4. And that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question. So question number 11, it says factorize x squared subtract 121. So again, this is the difference between two squareds, because we've got x squared and 121, which is a square number. So we're going to do bracket, 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 bracket. And because it's x squared, we put x's at the front of both brackets. Now we've got the difference between two squareds, so we're going to square root this to be 11 and 11, because the square root of 121 is 11. And we'll do one with a plus sign and one with a minus sign. So if we were asked to factorize x squared minus 121, the answer would be x plus 11, x minus 11. So x plus 11, x minus 11. And again, you can check your answer by expanding your brackets, and you'll see that this will expand to be this. Okay, let's look at question number 12. So question number 12 says factorize x squared plus 7x subtract 78. So here, let's put our brackets down, bracket, 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 and we're going to put x's at the front of both brackets because it's x squared. Now we want to find two numbers that will times together to be minus 78 and add together to be 7. So because they times together to be minus 78, that means that one's going to be positive and one's going to be negative. And we want to find which option will add together to be 7. So let's think of things that times together to be negative 78. So let's start off with negative 1 and 78. They will multiply together to give us negative 78, but they will add together to give us 77. So those two won't work. Let's try some other numbers. So let's try negative 2 and 39. So negative 2 times 39 would be negative 78, but they will add together to be 37. So a bit closer, but not the 7 that we want. Okay, let's try some other numbers. So now let's try negative 6 and 13. Negative 6 times 13 is negative 78. Fantastic. And they add together. Negative 6 plus 13 is 7. So that's fantastic. So our answer would be x minus 6 and x plus 13. So that's our answer, x minus 6 and x plus 13. And that's our answer. And we can check our answer by expanding our brackets. And if we expanded those brackets, we would get x squared plus 7x subtract 78. And that's it. Okay, let's try our next question. So question number 13 says factorize x squared plus 4x subtract 12. So again, it's a quadratic in the form of x squared plus bx plus c. So let's put our brackets down. So bracket, 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 bracket. And because it's x squared, let's put our x's at the front of both brackets. Now we want two numbers to times together to be minus 12, and they're going to add together to be 4. So let's try negative 2 and 6. Well, negative 2 times 6 is negative 12. Fantastic. And negative 2 plus 6 is 4. Oh, fantastic. So it's going to be x minus 2, x plus 6. And that's our answer. X minus 2, x plus 6. Because negative 2 times 6 is negative 12. And negative 2 plus 6 is 4. So inside of our brackets, we'll have x minus 2 and x plus 6. Okay, let's have a look at our next question, question number 14. So question number 14 is the difference between two squares question. So we're going to put our brackets down. And because it's x squared, we're going to put x at the front of both brackets. Now we've got minus 25, so it's a difference between two squareds. And the square root of 25 is 5, so we're going to put 5 in both brackets. And we'll put one with a plus sign and one with a minus sign. And if we expand these brackets, we'll get x squared minus 25. So if we're asked to factorize x squared minus 25, the answer will be x plus 5. X minus 5, and that's it. Okay, let's have a look at our next question, question number 15. So question number 15, we've been asked to factorize y squared subtract 9y plus 14. Now this question is a little bit different than the other questions just because we're using y instead of x, but we're going to use the same approach. So we'll put our brackets down, bracket, 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 and because we've got y squared, we'll have y at the front of both brackets. We want two numbers that we're going to multiply together to give us 14, and they're going to add together to be negative 9. Now because they add together to be negative 9, they can't be two positives, there's going to have to be two negatives. So let's think of two negative numbers that will multiply together to be 14. So let's try minus 1 and minus 14. Well, minus 1 times minus 14 is 14. Fantastic. But minus 1 plus minus 14 would be minus 15, not minus 9. So let's try some other numbers. Let's try minus 2 and minus 7. Well, minus 2 times minus 7 is 14. Fantastic. And minus 2 plus minus 7 is minus 9. So inside of our brackets, we're going to have y minus 2 and y minus 7. And that's it. So the answer would be y minus 2, y minus 7. And that's it. Okay, let's have a look at our next question, question number 16. So question number 16, we've been asked to factorize 9 minus w squared. So 9 is a square number, and w squared is a square number, and we've got to subtract, which is the difference between two squareds. So let's do our brackets, bracket, 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 and let's square root both of them. So square root of 9 is 3, so put 3 at the front of both brackets, and the square root of w squared will be w, so w, and one with a plus sign and one with a minus sign. And if we were to expand these brackets, we would get 9 minus 3w plus 3w, they'll add together to be 0, and then minus w squared, so we'd end up with 9 minus w squared. So factorizing 9 minus w squared will be 3 plus w, 3 minus w, and that's it. Okay, let's have a look at our next question, question number 17. Question number 17, and question number 17 we've been asked to factorize 49 minus y squared. So again, it's a difference between two squareds question, so let's put our brackets down, so bracket, 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 and the square root of 49 is 7, so let's put 7 at the front of both brackets, and then the square root of y squared is y, so put y at the end of both brackets, and then one with a plus sign and one with a minus sign, and if we expand our brackets, we'll get 49 minus y squared. So that means our answer will be 7 plus y, 7 minus y, and that's it. Okay, let's have a look at our next question, question number 18. So question number 18, we've been asked to factorise x squared minus 38x plus 72. So let's start off by putting down our brackets. So bracket, 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 bracket. And because it's x squared, let's put x's at the front of both brackets. And we want to find two numbers that will times together to be 72 and add together to be minus 38. Now, because they're timesing together to be a positive, that means either they're both positive or both negative. And because they're adding together to be minus 38, that means they're going to be both negative. Now, let's find some numbers that times together to be 72. So let's try minus 72 and minus 1. Well, minus 72 times minus 1 would be 72. And if we add them together, that's going to be minus 73. So that's not the minus 38 that we're looking for. Now let's try minus 36 and minus 2. Well, minus 36 times minus 2 would be 72. Fantastic. And minus 36 plus minus 2, well, if we go down another 2, that's going to be minus 38. So that's fantastic. So that means inside of our brackets, we're going to have x minus 36. And in the other bracket, we're going to have x minus 2. And that's it. So if we're asked to factorise x squared minus 38x plus 72, the answer would be x minus 36, x minus 2. Okay, let's have a look at our next question, question number 19. So question number 19, we've been asked to factorise x squared plus 14x subtract 51. So let's put our brackets down and let's put our x's at the front of both brackets, so x and x, and we want to find two numbers that multiply together to be minus 51 and that add together to be 14. So because it's minus 51, one's going to be positive and one's going to be negative. And I'm going to try, let's start off with 17 and minus 3. So 17 and minus 3. Because if we do 17 multiplied by minus 3, we're going to get minus 51, because 17 plus 17 is 34, plus another 17 is 51. And if we add these two numbers together, 17 plus minus 3, or minus 3 plus 17 would be 14. So that's our option. So it's going to be x plus 17 and x minus 3. And then that's our answer, x plus 17 and x minus 3. And that's it. Okay, let's have a look at our next question, question number 20. So question number 20, we've been asked to factorise y squared plus 32y plus 240. Now this is a quadratic, so let's put our brackets down, bracket, 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 and let's put our y at the front of both brackets, because y times y is y squared. And it's a calculator question, so that's nice. We can use a calculator to check this and check our multiplications and so on. But we want to find two numbers that will multiply together to be 240, and then they're going to add together to be 32. Now we could do 240 and 1, but that's not going to add together to be 32. So I'm going to choose some numbers that are a bit closer together. So first of all, I'm going to start off by doing 15 times 16. Because 15 times 16, and I can check on my calculator, is 240. And if we do 15 plus 16, that's equal to 31. Actually, that's pretty close. We want 32. So it's not going to be 15 and 16, but I think we're near. So let's now try, well, 240, it's a multiple of 20. So let's try 20, and we would do 20 times 12. And again, we can check that on our calculator. 20 times 12 is 240. And if we add them together, 20 plus 12 is 32. And so that's what we want. We want that option for 20 and 12. So it's going to be y plus 20 and y plus 12. And remember, we could have it the other way around, where it's y plus 12 and y plus 20, but it doesn't matter which way around we put the brackets. So y plus 20 and y plus 12. And that's it. So we were trying to factorise y squared plus 32y plus 240. We found two numbers that multiplied together to be 240, and they were 12 and 20. And then whenever we do 12 plus 20, we get 32, which was what we were looking for. So that means that we've got y plus 20 and y plus 12. And again, we can check our answer by expanding our brackets, and we would get y squared plus 32y plus 240. So we've factorised it, and that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 21. So question number 21, we've been asked to factorise y squared, subtract 12y, subtract 64. So again, let's put our brackets down, bracket, 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 and we want y in the front of both brackets. And we want to find two numbers that will multiply together to be minus 64, and they will add together to be minus 12. Now, because they times together to be a negative, that means one's going to be positive and one's going to be negative. So let's start off with minus 32 and 2. Because minus 32 multiplied by 2 is equal to minus 64. And if we do minus 32 plus 2, that's going to be minus 30. But we want a minus 12, so let's try some other numbers. So let's now try minus 16. And if we do minus 16 times 4, that's equal to minus 64. Because if we double it, we're going to get minus 32. And if we double again, that's minus 64. And if we add these two numbers together, if we do minus 16 plus 4, that's minus 12. So that's it. So we've got y minus 16 and y plus 4. So that means our answer is y minus 16 and y plus 4. So if we're asked to factorise y squared minus 12y minus 64, the answer would be y minus 16, y plus 4. And that's it. Okay, let's have a look at our next question, question number 22. So question number 22 says, Freddie has been asked to factorise x squared minus 11x plus 30, and his answer is x plus 5, x plus 6, and we've been asked to explain his mistake. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to factorise this x squared minus 11x plus 30 to begin with and see what we get. So because it's a quadratic, I'm going to put our brackets down, and I'm going to put x at the front of both brackets. We want two numbers that will multiply together to be 30, and then will add together to be minus 11. So they times together to be 30, and they add together to be minus 11. Now, because they times together to be 30, that means they're going to be either both positive or both negative. Now, because they add together to be minus 11, they're not going to both be positive. They're going to be both negative. And actually, if we have a look here, Freddie had plus 5 and plus 6. Now, that couldn't work because 6 times 5 is 30. But 6 plus 5 is equal to 11, not minus 11. So I actually think that if we change the plus signs to minus signs, would they work? So if it was minus 5 and minus 6. So minus 5 times minus 6 is 30. Fantastic. And minus 5 plus minus 6 would be minus 11. So yeah, so it should be x minus 5 and x minus 6. So Freddie's mistake is he's put the wrong signs in the brackets. They should be minus signs or subtracts rather than adds. So let's explain that. And that's it, I've just explained. Freddie has put the incorrect signs in the brackets. It should be x minus 5, x minus 6, not x plus 5, x plus 6. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 23. Okay, let's have a look at question number 23. So question number 23 says a quadratic expression x squared plus ax plus 24 can be factorised. And a is a positive integer, so this is a positive value in front of the x. So it could be, for instance, 7x or 10x or even 1x. And then we're asked how many possible values are there for a. So because whenever we're factorising this, so if we were to factorise this, so put our brackets down, so bracket, 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 and it can be factorised, so that means we can put x and x, because it's x squared, we're going to put x and x. And if we were to factorise this, the two numbers in the brackets would times together to be 24, and they would add together to be the number in front of x, which is the a, and a is a positive number. Now, because a is a positive number, that means the two numbers that multiply together to be 24 must both be positive. It must be a positive number times a positive number, because if it was a negative times a negative, they would add together to be a negative, and a is a positive integer, so they wouldn't work. So it has to be a positive number times a positive number. So let's find the numbers that times together to be 24. So let's focus on 24. 24, we could do 1 times 24. We could do 2 times 12. We could do 3 times 8. We could do 4 times 6. And they're all the pairs of numbers that we could have that would times together to be 24. And we want to find what the value for a is. So, for instance, we could have x plus 1 and x plus 24. That would be one possible option inside of our brackets. And 1 plus 24 is equal to 25. So if we were to expand these brackets, we would have 25 for a. So if we add these together, we get 25. We could have x plus 2 and x plus 12 inside the brackets. If we expand those brackets, you'd get x squared, and you'd have your 24 on the end. And to find the value in front of the x, you just add those two numbers together. 2 plus 12 is 14, so you'd have 14 if you were to expand those brackets. In front of the x, it'd be plus 14x plus 24. Now we've got x plus 3 and x plus 8. And if you were to expand those brackets, you'd get x squared, and then you would have 3 plus 8 is 11, so you'd have 11x plus 24, so that'd be 11. 3 plus 8 is 11. And finally, if we had x plus 4 and x plus 6, if you were to expand those brackets, you'd get x squared, and then plus 6x plus 4x, so adding them together would be plus 10x, and 4 plus 6 is 10, and then you'd have your plus 24 in the end. So we're asked how many possible values are there for a. So a could be 25, it could be 14, it could be 11, or it could be 10, because we know it's a positive value, so they're the positive values it could be. So how many possible values are there? The answer is 4. It could have 4 possible values. Okay, let's have a look at question number 24. So question number 24 says factorise x squared minus x minus 72. So we want to factorise this, so let's put our brackets down, and because it's x squared, we've got x in the front of both brackets, and we want two numbers that will multiply together to be minus 72, and they're going to add together to be minus 1, because that's minus 1x. So let's think of numbers that multiply together to be minus 72. So I'm thinking of, to begin with, minus 2 and 36, because obviously they're multiplying to be minus 72, so one has to be positive and one has to be negative. So minus 2 times 36 will be minus 72. And minus 2 plus 36 is 34. So that's not going to be minus 1. So let's try something else. Let's try something a bit closer together. So let's try something like minus 8 and 9, because 8 times 9 is 72. So minus 8 times 9 would be minus 72. Fantastic. And minus 8 plus 9 would be 1. We want minus 1. So let's change these around. Let's try minus 9 and 8. Minus 9 times 8 is minus 72, and minus 9 plus 8 would be equal to minus 1. So it's going to be minus 9 plus 8. So if we were asked to factorize this, the answer would be x minus 9 and x plus 8. And that's it. Okay, let's have a look at our next question, question number 25. So question number 25 says, factorize fully x squared minus 18x minus 88. So we are going to factorize this. So let's put our brackets down. So let's put x and x, and we want to find two numbers that will multiply together to be minus 88 and add together to be minus 18. Now, because it's minus 88, that means obviously one's going to be positive and one's going to be negative. So let's try minus 8 and 11 to begin with, because minus 8 times 11 will be minus 88. But if we add them together, minus 8 plus 11 is 3. We want minus 18. So if I try minus 11 and 8, they would multiply together to be minus 88 as well, but they're going to add together to be minus 3. So we were going to want some numbers that are a bit further away from each other. So let's maybe try something like minus 22 and 4, because 4 22s is 88. So 4 negative 22s would be minus 88. So times them together would be minus 88. And minus 22 plus 4, well, that's going to be minus 18. Fantastic. So it's going to be x minus 22 and x plus 4. And that's it. So our answer would be x minus 22 and x plus 4. Okay, let's have a look at our next question, question number 26. So question number 26, we've been asked to factorize y squared minus 13y plus 36. So let's put our brackets down, and let's put y in the front of both brackets, and we want two numbers that will multiply together to be 36 and add together to be minus 13. Now, because they times together to be a positive, that means either they're both positive or both negative, but because they're adding together to be a negative, they both have to be negative. Now, they're both timesing together to be 36, so let's try minus 6 and minus 6. Minus 6 times minus 6 is 36. And if we add them together, that's minus 12. That's not what we're looking for. We want minus 13. So now let's try something else. Let's try minus 9 and minus 4, because negative 9 times negative 4. 4 times 9 is 36. So minus 9 times minus 4 would be 36 as well. And if we do minus 9 plus minus 4, that would be minus 13. So it's going to be minus 9 and minus 4. And that's it. So our answer would be y minus 9 and y minus 4. And that's it. Okay, let's have a look at our next question, question number 27. So question number 27, we've been asked to factorize x squared minus 16x minus 17. So let's put our brackets down, bracket, 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 and x at the front of both brackets, because it's x squared, and x times x is x squared. And we want two numbers that will multiply together to be minus 17 and add together to be minus 16. Now, because they're timesing together to be minus 16, that means that it's negative. So one's going to be positive and one's going to be negative. So let's try 17 and minus 1. So 17 times minus 1 is minus 17. Fantastic. And if we add these two numbers together, minus 1 plus 17 is 16. But we want minus 16. So let's swap these around. Let's try minus 17 and 1. Minus 17 times 1 is minus 17. And minus 17 plus 1 will be minus 16. Fantastic. So it's going to be x minus 17 and x plus 1. So our brackets would be x minus 17 and x plus 1. And that's it. Okay, let's have a look at our next question. Okay, let's have a look at our last question, question number 28. So question number 28 says an expression, a quadratic expression, x squared plus ax plus 15 can be factorized. So this can be factorized, and we've been asked to find all possible values for a. So we want to find all the possible values for a, and a can be either positive or negative. So we want to find the numbers that will multiply together to be 15, because in our brackets we're going to have x and x, because it's x squared, and we want to put two numbers in here that will times together to be 15. So let's think of the numbers that will times together to be 15. So we could have 15 and 1, because 15 times 1 is 15. We could have 5 and 3, because 5 times 3 is equal to 15. Now I'm not going to write 3 and 5, because if we were to expand those brackets, we get the same answer for a anyway. Now they're the positive numbers that will times together to be 15. Let's consider the negative numbers that will times together to be 15. So that's going to be negative 15 and negative 1, because negative 15 times negative 1 would also be 15. And also negative 5 and negative 3, because negative 5 times negative 3 is also 15. So they're all our possible options. Now let's put them in our brackets and expand them and see what we get. So we could have x plus 15 and x plus 1. And if we were to expand these, we would get x times x is x squared. x times 1 would be plus x, or plus 1x. We then have 15 times x, that's going to be plus 15x. And then we'd have 15 times 1, that's going to be equal to 15. And then if we simplify this, we'd get x squared. And then we've got x plus 15x, that's plus 16x. And then we've got our plus 15. So one possible value for a would be 16. Let's write that down. One possible option is 16. Let's find our next one. So we've done the first pair, we've done this one. Now let's try x plus 5 and x plus 3. So let's do it here, x plus 5 and x plus 3. And if we expand those brackets, we get x times x, that's x squared. X times 3, that's plus 3x. 5 times x, that's plus 5x. And 5 times 3 is plus 15. And simplifying these two terms, you get x squared. 3x plus 5x is plus 8x, and then plus 15. So another possible option for a would be 8. So let's write that down. 8, that's another possible option. So we've got 16, we've got 8. So we've done the first option and the second option. Now let's try minus 15 and minus 1. So that's going to be x minus 15 and x minus 1. And if we expand our brackets, we're going to have x times x is x squared. X times minus 1, that's minus x, or minus 1x. We've then got minus 15 times x, that's minus 15x. And we've got minus 15 times minus 1, that's a negative times a negative, which is a positive, and that'll be 15. And then if we simplify this, we've got minus 1x, take away another 15x's, that's going to be x squared minus 16x plus 15. So that means another option for a would be minus 16. So let's write that down, minus 16. And finally, our last option is whenever we've got x minus 5 and x minus 3. So let's do that. So x minus 5 and x minus 3. And if we expand our brackets, we get x times x is x squared. X times minus 3 would be minus 3x. Minus 5 times x would be minus 5x. And minus 5 times minus 3 would be 15. And then if we simplify this, looking at the middle terms, we've got minus 3x, take away another 5x's, it's going to be minus 8x's, that's x squared minus 8x plus 15. And the value for a would be minus 8, and that's the other option, so minus 8. So the possible values for a would be 16, 8, minus 16, and minus 8. We could put them in order if you want to, but I'm just going to leave it like that. And that's it. And that's it. So these have been the video solutions for the factorising quadratic practice questions whenever we've got quadratics in the form of x squared plus bx plus c. If you need any extra help on this topic, if you watch videos 118, that's the factorising quadratics. Also, if you watch video 120, that's the difference between two squareds. They're going to be very useful for you. But again, I really hope you found this video useful. If you have found it useful, please like it and please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thanks so much. Cheers. Bye.